You will struggle to find many footballers with the aura that Zlatan Ibrahimović possesses. The Swedish giant is known to be cocky, arrogant, and generally just badass. Here are 10 of Zlatan's most badass moments. Number 1. Dear Los Angeles, you're welcome. When Zlatan agreed to a move to LA Galaxy in 2018, the American club knew they were getting one of the biggest stars the game had ever seen. But how many of those stars would have made the type of entrance that Zlatan did? The simple answer is none. When the deal was confirmed, the former Inter Milan man took a full page in the famous LA Times, and all he wrote was, "Dear Los Angeles, you're welcome." He then signed it at the bottom so they knew who it's from. As far as Zlatan was concerned, not just the club, but the entire city should be very grateful that he had agreed to play there. What a guy! Number 2. Lions don't compare themselves with humans. Prior to 2016, one thing fans always tried to use to belittle Zlatan's achievements was the question, can he do it in the Premier League? So, typical of Zlatan, he decided to take on the challenge and prove the doubters wrong. And he succeeded in proving them wrong. Even though he was 35 when he joined Manchester United, he played well, scored goals, and helped the club win trophies. That on its own is pretty badass, but not as badass as this interview he had during his time in England. The interviewer asked him who he thought was the best striker in the Premier League, and he named Lukaku and Aguero, both of whom were playing in the city of Manchester at the time. Apparently, the interviewer expected Zlatan to display his cockiness by mentioning his own name, so, surprised that he didn't, he asked him why. That's when Zlatan replied, "Lions don't compare themselves with humans." That response was so badass that it rocked social media for months. Number 3. I don't care about Trump. In an interview some years back, Zlatan was asked what he thought about certain public figures. He said he thought Usain Bolt was fast, Muhammad Ali was the greatest, but when asked about Donald Trump, Zlatan just categorically said he didn't care about him. Mind you, at this time, Trump was president of the United States, and Zlatan was playing for a club in the United States. Pretty ballsy thing to have said considering all that. Number 4. Made Jimmy Kimmel a superstar. While he was playing in Los Angeles in the US, Ibrahimović appeared on a famous American TV show, Jimmy Kimmel Live. There, the host, Jimmy Kimmel, asked him how he thought his arrogance and confidence affects his teammates. He asked if they don't ever feel in his shadow. And guess what Zlatan replied? No, I make them superstars just like I make you. This guy really came to Jimmy Kimmel's country, got on Jimmy Kimmel's show, and told Jimmy Kimmel himself that he, Zlatan, just made him a superstar by appearing on his show. Does it get more Zlatan than that? Number 5. Superpowers. Now, let's throw it back a little. Back when Ibra was in PSG, he had a pretty interesting interview. At this point, whenever you hear this guy has an interview, just tune in. There's most likely going to be at least one badass moment in there. So the interviewer was hitting the PSG legend with different trivia questions. Then he asked him what superpowers he would like to possess, and Zlatan simply said, "I already have them." That's so badass, but he's not even wrong. With the things he's able to do on the pitch, we definitely agree that he has all the superpowers he would like. Number 6. That goal. Zlatan's badass moments aren't made up of only things he has said. He has also done some really badass things on the pitch that only Ibrahimović would be able to do. Listen, this guy is literally the only footballer on the planet that would get a ball outside the box, and the first thing that would come to his mind is a bicycle kick. That goal for Sweden against England, which won the 2013 Puskas Award, is one of the most audacious goals we've ever seen. To even think of attempting it is badass on its own, then to go on and execute it perfectly is just absolutely insane. Ladies and gentlemen, Zlatan Ibrahimović. Number 7. Drawing comparisons with Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin is one of the founding fathers of the United States, and these days, he is most famous for being the face on the $100 bill, the highest denomination of American currency. In 2017, Ibrahimović compared himself to Benjamin Franklin after his face appeared on the 1,000 kroner bill, the highest denomination of the Swedish currency. He posted a picture on Instagram of him behind an enlarged copy of the 1,000 kroner note which had his face, and under the photo he wrote, "You have Benjamin Franklin, and you have me." Such a Zlatan thing to say, isn't it? We have to say though that this is not an actual currency used in Sweden. It was an artwork by Swedish photographer and artist Bingo Reimer in honor of the greatness of one of Sweden's greatest ever exports. Number 8. You're living in my house. After Zlatan got rich and famous, he was finally able to buy the house which he had dreamed of for years. But he went about acquiring it in the most unusual of fashions. In his memoir, the Milan striker talked about how he would often walk or drive by a really beautiful house when he was younger and dreamed of owning it. Finally, when he could afford it and was ready to buy, he walked right into the house and asked to see the owners. When he met them, he looked them straight in their eyes and told them, "You are living in my house." That was literally how he began negotiations to buy his dream home from the owners. If someone comes into your own house and makes that statement to you, you most likely would have called security on them immediately. But then, this was Zlatan. If he said it was his house, then it was his house. After making that statement, he left and handed the rest of the negotiations to his lawyer. And what do you think? Of course, he eventually got his dream home. He is Zlatan Ibrahimović. Number 9. His AC Milan speech. Zlatan returning to AC Milan really added a lot to the team. First, he got them back into the Champions League after many years of absence. And then, more importantly, after more than a decade of being trophyless, he helped AC Milan clinch the Scudetto once again. After they were confirmed champions, he ordered for his teammates as well as the technical crew to be gathered in the dressing room and then gave a very powerful speech. A speech which he ended with the following statement: "I'm very proud of you all. Now do me a favor, celebrate like champions, because it isn't just Milan that belongs to AC Milan, Italy belongs to AC Milan." He said the last 5 words with a roar while flipping the table and everywhere went absolutely bonkers. That right there is the Zlatan effect. Number 10. Comparison to Jesus Christ. As far as Zlatan is concerned, he is a god, and perhaps on some days, even the son of God. Back when he was under the management of Carlo Ancelotti at PSG, Zlatan made a very audacious statement that none of the parties present would ever forget. It was the 2012-13 season, and Zlatan was in insane form. He scored 30 goals that season to help PSG win the Ligue 1 for the first time in almost 2 decades. But just before the French Giants were confirmed champions, Zlatan had one last badass moment to offer that season. PSG were preparing for a really big game against Lyon, which got Ancelotti a little nervous. When Ibra noticed that his boss was a little anxious about the game, he walked up to him and asked him if he believed in Jesus. Ancelotti answered yes, and then Zlatan said, "So, you believe in me. You can relax." Wait a minute, did Ibrahimović just infer that he is? Oh boy, what a guy Zlatan is, man. The one true badass of the football universe. Of course, there are more badass moments from Zlatan that didn't make this list. If you have some more, hit us with them in the comments.